You are not stuck. You can increase your happiness and improve your well-being by understanding the science of happiness and applying it. You get many messages about how to become happier that are completely wrong. There's a science of happiness, and what you have agency over is your thinking and your behavior.
Welcome to the Feel Good Club podcast. This is the place where ambitious working moms learn how to elevate their well-being, increase success in all areas, and create a positive, aligned life. Whether you're here to hear expert interviews or inspiring talks, this is your space to learn and grow. I'm Tia Graham, keynote and TED speaker, best-selling author, and founder of the Feel Good Club community for high-achieving moms. I am an expert in the science of happiness. This show is here to help you feel grounded, happier, and connected to yourself and others. I know you are going to love it. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in.
You are not stuck, and you can increase your happiness and improve your well-being by understanding the science of happiness and applying it. The science of happiness is also known as positive psychology. From guilt and burnout to inner calm and joy, I'm going to give you 3 science-backed shifts every working mom can make in the next week. And I know that you are going to feel happier by implementing these. You and I were not taught about positive psychology. I know my parents didn't talk about it, and you don't realize how much agency you have. You get many messages about how to become happier that are completely wrong, that are misleading, and that steer you in the wrong direction. Some of these are like, get a bigger title at work, you'll be happier. If you have a nicer car or a bigger house, you'll be happier. Or maybe more followers on Instagram, or your kid is better at this activity or gets a better grade, you'll be happier, etc. And you and I we're not truly aware and didn't have a complete idea of how much control we actually have over our own happiness. Your brain can work against you, and it does work against you, unfortunately. And our brains were not designed to make us feel happy, right? Our brains are there to have us feel safe, and they want to keep us alive. This is why, for example, the news is 99% negative, because that is what our brain is attracted to. Even though there's a lot of positive news happening in the world. That's an aside, right? So it's also, our brain has a monkey mind. We have 30 to 60,000 thoughts a day. It's very hard to be present, and worrying about the past and worrying about the future, that makes us unhappy, this monkey mind. Our brain also constantly compares ourselves against other working moms. Maybe it's your sister, maybe it was your mom, maybe it's your colleagues, maybe it's your friends. And of course, social media exasperates this, and comparison is a thief of joy. There's also this unfortunate thing that happens in our brain called the hedonic treadmill. This happens when we get something new. For example, let's say you get that new car, and you sort of have this happiness high for about 3 or 4 months. And then you go back to your resting level of happiness. It's not permanent, but our brain thinks that when we get these things or do these things, everything sort of external, that we're going to have this elevated level of happiness. And it's just not true. It only lasts for 3 or 4 months. So just remember that. Knowing the hedonic treadmill is very important. Our brains also have a negativity bias. Doesn't that suck? Like, that completely sucks. And some people, some working moms, have more of a negativity bias than others. And so what this means is that you and I have to Work extra hard at being positive and optimistic. And there's so many more challenges. Those are just some. You are not aware of all of the science and all of the research that can actually increase your happiness. And there's so much goodness. Also, you and I are very time poor. Working parents with young children are the most time poor people on the planet. You're juggling career, kids, home, marriage, family, technology, pets, friends, and more. Who has time to focus on happiness when you have a million things to do and a to-do list that is like a scroll from the Middle Ages? Who has time, right? Many of us, and you might be in this situation, I know I am, have no family or village around us. I live in Southern California, and my husband's family and I is around Canada and the United States. No one's even within driving distance. Also, recognize that in the United States and in other countries, but there isn't a lot of paid time off, right? The systems and organizations and government does not support working moms. Not a lot of maternity or paternity leave. This stat floors me. 41% of working moms in the United States go back to work after 4 weeks. A lot of organizations that don't fully support working moms. There's also the invisible mental load. The majority falls on you. And also, maybe like me, you might have challenging children that have disabilities and take extra care in addition to all the regular parenting duties. So lots of challenges that we're up against, but I am an eternal optimist, and the science of happiness has transformed my life. There was one night about 7 years ago, and I came back home to our apartment in West Hollywood, and it was my second client night in a row. I was the director of sales and marketing at the London West Hollywood. I had missed the after school time and the bedtime routines, and my husband is sharing how the girls were, the toddler and the baby and everything they were doing. And tears started rolling down my eyes. And I'm saying out loud that I am so stuck. I've been in this career for 15 years. I really love my career. I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. That's not the journey for me. But I am so unhappy missing so much of the girls' lives. And I hate that I don't have flexibility, and I hate that I can't pick my older one up from preschool, and I want to be able to work on my terms, but still be really high achieving, still be really career driven. But how do I do that? Because all I know is the hospitality industry. That's what I've done. I went to hotel school, right? And the next day I call one of my friends in New York, and again, I am crying, and I'm just saying to her, I am shitty at everything. I am shitty at work. I'm failing at being a mom. I'm not a really good wife. I never see my girlfriends. And it was going on and on and on. And my dear friend Galit says, you are not failing. You are just in a new situation. And I think you should call my coach, my life coach. And I was like, what is a life coach? She said, she's amazing. Just call her, and gave me her number.
Let's take a quick pause for something that can really support you. If you constantly question if you are good enough as a working mom and desperately want to feel happier, I'd love to invite you to a complimentary discovery call with me. In 45 minutes, we'll get clear on what is out of alignment, what you want your days to feel like, and 2 to 3 simple changes you can make immediately to feel calmer and more confident. It's completely free, and it's a chance for us to connect and see if the Feel Good Club for working moms or one-on-one coaching might support you. To grab a spot, go to tiagraham.com/discovery call. That's tiagraham.com/discovery call, and pick a time that works for you.
The next day, pick up the phone and call her. And I'm telling her how unhappy I am and how stuck I feel and that I need change, but what can I do? Because this is all I've done. And how can I, in being a director of sales and marketing, you don't have flexibility, right? And she's listening, and she says, well, if you weren't doing that, what else would you do? And I said, I've always had this crazy idea. I've had this idea for about 14 years, and the only person that knows about it is my husband, and my journal. And she goes, well, what's this crazy idea? And I said, the idea is to have a happiness company. And I said, this is really ironic because I'm calling you because I am literally miserable. I'm full of guilt and anger and resentment and anxiety and frustration and overwhelm and so much chronic stress. But, pre-kids, I had this idea to have happiness company because I used to be this really positive, optimistic person most of the time. And she said, oh my God, that's a brilliant idea. Between now and our next call over the next 2 weeks, start researching happiness. And so I went into Google and I put in what makes people happy. And Google came back and told me the science of happiness. And I was like, wait, what? There's a science of happiness? How do I not know about this? And I went down a rabbit hole, right? I was looking at, oh my God, you can learn about positive psychology at Yale and Harvard and Oxford and Berkeley universities. And I found that there was this World Happiness Summit coming up in a couple months. And so I booked a ticket to Miami and I basically became obsessed. Any spare moment I got, I was researching and learning about the science of happiness and building this deck of what could this happiness company be. At the World Happiness Summit, I met so many neuroscientists, researchers, and all of these incredible people doing work in the fields of personal happiness and happiness at work. I met the Harvard professor, Dr. Ben Shahar, and signed up for his year program. I became a certified coach. I got multiple certifications in positive psychology, which led me to study neuroscience, which led me to go to Denmark and become a certified chief happiness officer for happiness at work. I started working with people one-on-one coaching, doing happiness workshops, and then I started speaking and doing keynotes and leadership programs. And every single day, I was becoming happier by learning about the science of happiness and applying it to my life. And I was becoming happier by teaching others how to be happier and spreading the science of happiness. So you don't need to quit your job and create a happiness company. But what I want to inspire you to do is to learn about the science of happiness. Grab a book, listen to a podcast. You can start with my book, Be a Happy Leader. Now, what's very important and what the latest research shows is that your genetics play a really big part into your happiness, your genetic history. And of course, there's not an exact number, but it's somewhere around 60 to 70% of your happiness is from your genetics. So some people are predisposed to be really, really happy. And unfortunately, some are predisposed to be really, really unhappy. And so just know that. Also, your environment plays a big role, right? Where you live, what you do for work, right? If you think about a working mom in Eastern Ukraine, a working mom in New York City, a working mom in a farm in China, all around the world, our environment does impact our happiness. But where the research falls is that third area, which is our choices. And this is where we have agency. And the scientists have proven that we all have a set point of where we are right now, but everyone can increase their happiness. And what you have agency over is your thinking and your behavior. That is what I have spent the last almost decade building my career on, is teaching leaders and teams and now ambitious working moms how to focus on their thoughts and their behaviors to become happier. And there are pillars of happiness, right? And happiness is not about feeling happy all the time. It's about having more positive emotions than painful ones. It's also about meaning and purpose and about having different experiences that make you wiser. So A happy life is not about being happy all the time. I say that in my TED Talk, The Simple Secret of Being Happier. So pillars of happiness include spiritual well-being, physical well-being, intellectual well-being, relational well-being, relationship you have with yourself and others, as well as emotional well-being. Happiness is a choice. It's a choice that you and I get to make every day. And the science shows you how. And what I want you to do is I want you to prioritize your well-being daily. No one's going to do it for you as a working mom. And so here are the 3 things that I want you to do. Number 1 is take your meds. All right. I'm not talking about the pharmaceutical ones. The meds, your meds are meditation, exercise, a healthy diet, and get enough sleep. It's very hard to be happy when you're not slowing down to be mindful, moving your body at least 4 times a week, eating good, nutritious food, and getting enough sleep, at least 7 hours a night. Okay, so your meds. Number 2, number 1 predictor of happiness is human connection. Are you prioritizing time in your weekly calendar to be present and spend time with your spouse, your kids, your friends, connecting with family? And it doesn't have to be long, long periods of time, but are you prioritizing it? That's the number 1 predictor of happiness. And number 3 is I want you to think about those positivity boosters, those joy boosters. And this could be time in nature, listening to music, reading or audiobook, or listening to podcasts that you love, doing yoga. What are the positivity joy boosters that make you feel better? And do them. And here's a bonus, right? Is learn something new. There's so much research on if a working mom, if a human is learning something new, you're happier. All right. So the problem is that a lot of people are not aware of the science of happiness, yet there's so much research, and that just know, just by learning about it, you're going to be happier. I have a very awesome free gift for you. It is my 30 simple self-care practices that you as a working mom can do in 5 minutes or less. 30 ideas, okay? All you need to do is go to tiagram.com/self-care. That's tiagram.com/self-care. And share this with a working mom that you know needs this message too. You're amazing. See you on the next show.
Thank you for joining me on the Feel Good Club show. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and equipped to take on your day with confidence, self-love, and joy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow ambitious working moms. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. We're all here to support each other in feeling good and living our best lives. Until next time, take care and be hopeful. And remember, prioritize your happiness.